In December 2024, I decided to undertake the longest solo road trip of my life thus far, living totally self-sustained out of my vehicle for 2 weeks and camping the entire time, trying to avoid civilization. By the end, I'll have traveled nearly 3,600 miles through 4 states, 5 national parks, had unforgettable camp spots, including on the lost coast of California and in the Redwoods, wheeled some awesome trails in Sedona, along with driving a lot of the Lost Coast 4x4 route, visited 7 primitive hot springs, and have hiked one of the most iconic and dangerous hikes in the United States. This video series is that story. So welcome. Glad you're here, and I'm stoked to be able to share some of the amazing and unforgettable experiences I had on this trip. I think that's half dome. I ended up staying the better part of the day in Yosemite here. A lot of the cooler drives, like Tioga Road and Glacier Point Road, are closed in the winter, which this is December, so they are closed. So kind of missed out on that. I would really love to see this place in the spring, or even maybe summer, when everything is green. As you can see, it's still pretty green, but I mean, you can tell it's winter in the meadows here. But either way, this place is beautiful for sure. I kind of just drove around the park, seen all the views, stopped at all the viewpoints, hiked most of the waterfalls. I was gonna do Upper Yosemite Falls. I actually started it, and then kind of realized that I think it's an 8-mile round trip, and I just didn't have time for that. I didn't feel like, in order to see the rest of the park, and I didn't really want to spend more than one day here, so I just did the lower falls. Just all the shorter hikes, really, and then all the viewpoints here. So I feel like I've seen a decent amount of the park, but I would definitely like to go back, spend a little more time. I especially would love to go back to backpack in this area, especially the John Muir Trail, or even any of the trails inside the park, really, would be amazing. And Half Dome. You can't forget Half Dome. That is definitely still on the list, the bucket list. This waterfall was really cool. I'm trying to capture it right here in video. I kind of do, but the wind, it would shift with the wind. The wind would blow the entire waterfall from the left to the right. It was really cool to see in person. Gabby, get over here. We are going on the Tulum Grove Trailhead. It's about 2 miles, one of the bigger sequoia groves in Yosemite. We seen a lot of sequoias yesterday in Sequoia National Park, but can't see enough of these things. These things are so cool. So here we are. Goobs is leading the way as usual. Goes McGillison. This place. These forests are something else. Like, there's just like, it's the middle of December and it's still green. There's still like moss on the trees. Those big bastards. Look how tall these are. It's just, these are the coolest forests I've ever been in. The moss on the tree trunks here is such a vibe. Like, I need to make it to the Pacific Northwest because this. Oh, this new growth is so pretty looking. It's like the dead, burned, and then the new. It's the whole cycle of life right here. Look at these new little trees sprouting. So cool. I don't know why I find that cool, but I find weird shit cool. And these things, like, they don't. They're so large, it's hard for them to burn. Like, it just like burns partly in the trunk, and then they apparently stay alive somehow. Too large to kill easily. These little mini young trees right by this old. You're doing nature's dope. So large, he deserves a name, and he apparently doesn't have one. It's hard to put into perspective how big these are in video. Just the size of these trees is insane. I'm trying to give a perspective here. Like, they're gigantic. Look at that. It's so that's cool looking. Just about out of this hike. Got some good exercise in. This is quite the climb. I knew bringing this puppy was a bad idea coming down. I think we're gonna go back. Get back to the Jeep here in a minute. Bust out some Uncrustables. I'm thinking like three. Three should do her. And then energy drink. And then buckle up. Buckle in and scoot over to the coast. Over to Highway 1. Which is about 3 hours 45 minutes from here. So, not too bad. And figure out where we're camping tonight on the way there. Because I think it's going to be harder over on the coast there, where all the people are. Well, there's a lot of people here too, but a lot more over there. I really wish there was more hot springs to hit. I'm gonna hit the two, and I need more in my life. I had this debated on going up the 395 on the east side of the Sierras and hitting Willie's and, well, there's all kinds of hot springs over there, hitting a bunch of them, but instead of hitting Yosemite and Sequoia National Park here. Now that I've been to these, I'm glad I didn't, because I do love hot springs. And I do love the moss on these trees. I do love hot springs, but at the end of the day, I can experience hot springs at home within an hour or two, or a handful of them. I cannot experience Yosemite National Park and sequoias at home, anywhere. So, we forewent the 395 East route. If it wasn't winter, I could have done both, because I could just cut through, go up the 395, hit those hot springs, and then go up to the Sierras and hit and then down into Yosemite here, but that drive is closed once it's snowed in, and it's snowed in. So. I ended up shooting straight across from Yosemite to a KOA just a little north of San Francisco. I went around San Francisco. You couldn't have paid me enough money in the world to go into that city, or any city. Nothing against San Francisco itself, but I don't like traffic. So I went around it. I stayed at a little KOA in Petaluma, I believe it was called. It's a really nice little place. I got a really decent shower for the first time of this trip. That's most of the reason why I stayed at said KOA, actually. Yeah, it was a really cool experience. The drive wasn't too bad. Actually, the traffic was not bad at all. I was very, very surprised. Then the plan the next day from here was just to follow Highway 1 up the coast to a little ways north of Fort Bragg, between Fort Bragg and Shelter Cove, I think. At some point, I would go inland just a bit, hook on to the Lost Coast 4x4 route, and then try to utilize and follow the Lost Coast 4x4 route and the Redwood Coast 4x4 route as much as possible to just avoid main highway routes, big population centers, avoid civilization as much as I could, and avoid pavement even as much as I could. Just trying to stick to the theme of this trip and what I enjoy doing.